From our free daily newsletter, the latest from podnews.net with Spots Now. In January, we reported on Podcast Ad Block, a podcast tool that removed ads from podcasts, selling ad-free copies of shows. It was written by developer, adventurer and entrepreneur Ben Bowler, who by May had pulled the tool down. Today, we discover he's back with Podtastic, a podcast app that skips the ads for $2.99 a month, none of which goes back to the creators, but up to 30% of that money will go to Apple or Google in App Store fees. Here's what the end of this podcast sounded like yesterday on the Podtastic app. Long-term creator monetization. Well, this app works a little bit differently, and in our tests, the app downloads the MP3 files directly to the phone each time and looks in our logs like a web browser. So it's going to be very hard to block without blocking every web browser out there. Now, in the description, it's very careful not to suggest that it skips ads at all, just that it can automatically skip past the interruptions other listeners skip. And it carefully doesn't mention any podcasts by name. We're curious whether this app is within Apple's App Store terms. It's produced by a company called Freewheel Group Limited in the UK. What does it mean for your podcast? Well, it won't change your download numbers. They'll just appear under web browser. It just means that the advertising will be less effective and that advertisers will be less likely to rebook. Pave Studios has signed a further roster of creators who are joining the studio, including true crime creators, journalists and podcast hosts. Max Cutler told us creators join Pave because we invest in them the way studios once invested in stars, with development resources, cross-format opportunities and a team obsessed with growing their audience alongside them. Only a couple of weeks ago, Mike Pesca announced he was to stop hosting his popular podcast, The Gist, which had just hit 3,000 episodes. Today, Barry Weiss has announced that he's signed with CBS News as editorial director of podcasts. The festival Del Podcasting is to return to Milan in Italy for its 10th year. The event is made up by two separate days, one for the industry, then one for the creators, including the Pod24 Award. Why should you be using podcast chapters? There are lots of good reasons for you to be authoring podcast chapters for your shows, says Daniel J. Lewis. In an article today, he shows us how to do it. CastScribe is a new AI-powered tool that produces everything from captions, transcripts, articles, show notes and more. The tool has a free trial and has integration with WordPress. Triton Digital announced the Australian podcast ranker for June. No change with the top 3 shows, with the latest series of the ABC's Unravel driving a jump of 39 places to number 7. News podcasts are the most listened to shows. And do you publish your podcasts on WordPress? Is your audio really loud enough? Are there any big gaps you've forgotten to edit out? Audio Linter is a WordPress plugin that can check and repair your audio right within WordPress before you publish. In People News, Matthew Nelson has joined Signal Company Number 1 as head of production. The award-winning producer has worked for Gimlet Media, Wondery, the Boston Globe and the US Soccer Federation. In our newsletter today, more details about the IAB Podcast Measurement Guidelines version 2.3, what they've added and what they've taken away. And in podcast news, The Bald and the Beautiful has signed with SiriusXM. It's hosted by two of the world's most recognisable drag entertainers. The BBC's Intrigue podcast is back for a new season, this time looking at one of the world's longest-running conspiracies, the bombing of a plane over Lockerbie in Scotland. Almost 4 decades on, there's fresh evidence and a new trial. And the Oprah podcast returns for a new season today, featuring best-selling author Alan Levi. And this podcast is sponsored, now we're alone, away from Podtastic. This podcast is sponsored by Spots Now. Try advanced search for podcast advertisers. Spots Now's new AI search ranks all shows on audience fit and targeting, then allows you to see the performance potential in one click, so you isolate the best shows quickly. From here, you can use the campaign planner, exclude competitor conflicts, exclude shows you're working on, and even browse last-minute remnant spots matched to you. Try Spots BotsNow, search free. That's botsnow.io, or you can click on that link you'll find in our show notes. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe for free, we're at podnews.net.